I moved to Korea because I love BTS, Kimchi, and Son Heung-min. So I think that's what people expect me to say when they ask me, why did you move to Korea? So I get this question asked so many times. Pretty much every time I leave the house, every time I go out somewhere and meet someone for the first time, it's one of the first questions they ask is, why did you move to Korea? And I also get it commented a lot on my short form videos, but the answer is just so long. I wanted to just sit down and give you the full picture of why I'm in Korea, why I originally moved to Korea, and also why I actually stay in Korea, because I can go anytime, right? Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. So I was a student back in 2014. I know it's difficult to believe, but back in 2014, I was studying law at university in London, and I saw the opportunity to go abroad and to study in a different country. Very limited opportunity. Not many people were actually taking up this opportunity as well, because they were already in London and almost everyone in my class was an international student. So they had fought so hard to come and live and study in the UK. They weren't even interested in going to another country to study abroad. So this was a very not well-known scheme that was available. And so I inquired, as a British person who's lived in Britain since they were born, non-stop, never had any experience living in a different country. I was very interested in potentially moving to a different country just for 1 year or even for 6 months, but I was focused on 1 year and to experience life in a different country. So I, of course, reached out to that department in my university that deals with this situation, that deals with helping students to be placed in universities in different countries. And they came back to me with this list, and it was quite a small list. And I think it's because of my major, it's quite difficult to just go to a different country and study law. There are so many different legal systems around the world. And so it was a very, very short list. Now, on this list, you had European countries. You had France, I think you had Spain, no Italy. I was very interested in Italy, but there was no Italy. France, definitely, I think there was Spain, and there was also a few universities in Australia. Now, I had no interest in any of these countries, going to any of these countries to live at all. Very close to home, I think too close to home. And Australia, also very culturally similar to the UK. Never had a big interest in Australia. Right at the bottom of this list, it said South Korea. Now, back in that day, 2014, this is before a lot of it. This is before K-dramas, this is before Squid Game, this is before BTS, not known at that time. And so I had zero knowledge of South Korea going into this, but as soon as I saw it on the list, I was like, right, let's do some research. Let's see what's going on in this country. I know it's in Asia. I don't know much about it apart from that. So I go ahead and I do some research. And it's coming up with all this pop culture stuff, of course, because it's right at the beginning of that, big generation of pop music. So I search, when you search, as you search on YouTube, Korea or Korean stuff, and it came up with all these, K-pop related stuff, mainly K-pop related stuff. It came up with, I think at the time it was EXO was really big, and To Anyone were really big, okay, back in the day. And I watched these videos, and then I got watching their vlogs and all the other content that they produce around it, and I could see some of, South Korea, and I thought, wow, this looks like a very, developed and well-organized country, and looks like a safe place, ultimately a safe place to go and do a study abroad. And really, I was thinking, right, Asia, that means I can finally, I've never been to Asia, so I can finally travel to neighboring countries like, I thought at the time, Japan, China, etc., etc. So I went ahead, not much research later, but I was like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's go to South Korea. Let's go to South Korea and let's see what it's all about. So I did it. Packed my bags, of course, got accepted to the program, had good grades and that kind of stuff. And I arrived to study here in South Korea at what they consider to be their best university and their best law school, Seoul National University. So at this time, it's now 2015. Of course, it takes a bit of time to organize a study abroad. It's 2015. I arrive in winter time, and it's a little bit difficult in terms of the actual placement. So, maybe TMI, but South Korea, the legal system and their legal education system, they actually didn't at the time, I'm not sure about now, but didn't at the time have undergraduate law. Many countries don't. US doesn't have undergraduate law. It's done at a master's and above level. So as a result of this, I actually had to take master's level classes to carry on with my bachelor's degree. So I'm sat in there basically with a bunch of, people in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, etc. People actually already working in industry who just wanted to get some supplementary education, which is great. But a very different exchange experience to what a lot of people have if they come here these days and they study at an undergraduate level. So that's quite challenging. The education systems are also very different between how they teach law in the UK, in England, and how they teach law here in Korea. But just generally in university, there's more of an American system here. They really focus on things like assignments, okay? Always doing assignments and assignments due. And, when you study law in the UK, it's almost all exam-based. It's just these big exams and you study up, you study throughout the year and then you take your big exams. Here, it's these big assignments, so you're constantly working. So as a result, 2015, I had to work really, really hard. And I knew I had to work hard anyway. This was not just a fun study abroad. This was actually part of my degree, and any grades that I received here, the credits would be transferred to my degree. So I absolutely had to make sure I was on top of my game in terms of studying. And so I put the hours in. I was, living in the library. Seoul National University at that time had just built this beautiful giant library, brand new library, great facilities. And so it was a great place to study up in a mountain, essentially. Living and studying here. Of course, I set aside some time for recreation, great nightlife here, cafes, restaurants, all that kind of stuff. And pretty much as soon as I moved here, I had a great group of friends, still friends to this day, of course, and, really great group of friends there to support and to show me the way and to introduce me to Korea. So I was very fortunate, and I am very, grateful that I had that kind of network here as soon as I arrived. And I found those, you guys are going to ask me, how do you make friends in Korea? I found those friends through language exchange. So back in that day, of course, not many foreigners in Korea. So I had the market share when I arrived here, a lot of messages. Oh, do you want to hang out? Do you want to go for food? That kind of stuff. And I took up a lot of offers and did a lot of these, so-called language exchanges where we just go for coffee, basically, go for a meal and become mates, essentially, and just hang out after that. It was just a great time. And I really enjoyed that time of my life, that 2015 going into 2016, studying here through the long winter, snowy winter, much snowier and colder and harsher than it is in the UK, and just adjusting and adapting to the education system here and having so many experiences and setting aside time to travel to Busan and go to the East Coast and go to the mountains and all that kind of stuff. I did a lot of tourist stuff as well as studying. So it's an absolutely wonderful experience. Now, it came to the end. It was summertime again, and I had to go back to the UK. My exchange time was over. But towards that exchange time, I was like, right, I'm going to go back and graduate, and I'm going to come right back. Because I was not done living here. I had a great network of friends. I was very comfortable and well settled, and I was just having a great time. There's so much more to explore, both in Korea and in Asia. So I graduated immediately. I got all my credits, graduated, and I applied to teach in South Korea. As you know, there are simply not many opportunities for foreigners living in South Korea to come and work here. They have a very protectionist immigration system, which is their choice, which of course favors, and it's there to protect local jobs and local people, first of all. And then there are a few exceptions where you are able to work here. The biggest one for people from English-speaking countries is to come and teach English. That's one job that obviously a native Korean can't be a native English teacher. It's a role that only we can do, and it's a role that has huge demand here. There are English academies on every street, full of students, and there are always jobs, they're always hiring. So I thought that's a great thing to do. As soon as you finish uni, you've got a guaranteed job, you've already got your experience, living and studying in Korea, you're well settled. Why not? Why join the struggle straight away, living in London and trying to break into the legal industry? So I bounced straight back, got my visa sorted, And then I was back here in Korea, this time to actually work. So a little bit different to studying. That first job was a lot of hard work, okay? I could probably make a separate video about all the trials and tribulations of working in that first job, but typical, they call it, Hagwon horror story, Hagwon from hell, all that kind of stuff. And, that being said, in hindsight, in retrospect at the time, it was a lot of stress to deal with. But in hindsight, I actually also had a lot of good moments and a lot of good times working. And it also kind of toughened me up a little bit to have a difficult job as a first job, because after that, nothing phases you. Nothing can really upset you because you've already been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. So I wouldn't take anything away from that experience, to be honest, as well. It definitely toughen me up. So during that year, we're now 2016 going into 2017. I'm working, I'm traveling a lot. Every weekend is completely off pretty much. So I'm going all over the country and all over Seoul and the greater kind of, Gyeonggi-do area, and concentrating on things like cafes and restaurants and going to nice places and all this kind of stuff. In terms of social media, yeah, I had my, Insta or whatever, but I was not really to any great extent vlogging. You will find some older videos from like 2015 or so when I first arrived here, but I was not really putting my heart and soul into video creation or social media. Is there any regret there? I don't know. I think I started taking the video stuff seriously at the right time for me personally in my journey. I think it was just a little bit too early for me if I was making videos seriously in my early 20s. And as a student, it's nice to have a bit of experience before you go into this and actually be able to speak from a place of authority, because now we're years later and I know I've got all this knowledge of Korea that I can now share with you guys and be very confident in sharing about you guys, because I'm past that kind of, beginner learning stage or intermediate stage, and I've been here now for so many years. I know it inside out. Anyway, so like I said at the beginning, I knew this video would be quite a long video because at the end of the day, this is my life story. This is years and years of my life we're talking about. So I don't think I'll be able to go through all the detail of, everything that happened after that in this video. If you are interested, let me know in the comments if you want to hear about the years, those very stressful years after that, which are, the 2020, 2021, 2022 years, pandemic years here in Korea. So I think, make a separate video about what it was like during those years. If you are interested at all, do let me know. But yeah, so basically I've been living here since then, and I've really ramped up social media production. I've been focusing on social media, video creation very heavily in the last year, definitely. This year, absolutely, I've been going crazy. And, just in the last couple of years, I've been putting out a lot of videos. So I hope you're already familiar with my videos and you can check those out, my short form content, because I am posting pretty much every day. And hopefully I can get into the routine of sitting down and creating some of these more casual but long form content for YouTube. So that's kind of one of the focuses now, is to be able to get more comfortable sitting down for a long period of time and just talking to you guys about various topics. Okay, have a great rest of the week wherever you are, and have a good one. Thanks.